In America, on the other hand, politics is anything but what politics actually is. It's about how much you can bench press. It's about whether you put Dijon mustard. It's all about whatever commodities you're consuming. Are you a Labubu consumer? Do you drink raw milk? None of this is about politics, man. And that is by design, by the way. The reason why American politics is about anything but actual policy is by design, because both parties in the duopoly do not stand for the working class. So no one is actually out there invested in truly trying to reverse the trajectory that we're heading in the direction of. What is this? I recently saw John Schwartz defending you in the replies. What is this? Have they endorsed a different candidate, said anything negative about his campaign? I think people are just unhappy about the most powerful Democrats in the country. My sense is that anti-establishment Dems are tired of being lectured about how they have to unite under whoever wins primaries, only to see that top Dems don't believe that for themselves. E.g., they don't like that Cuomo is not just still running, but collaborating with Trump. And your guy, Mamdani, cozies up to people like Hasan Piker, who said America deserved 9/11. I hate to have to tell you that if the Democratic Party has any success in the future, it's going to be because of a lot of people like Hasan Piker. Respect. If anything, it's going to be because people like Hasan Piker wake up from the fantasy land and learn how to run campaigns against Republicans instead of Democrats. It's an easy grift to monetize people's outrage, anger, and fear, but it's exclusively a self-enriching endeavor. Yep, the DSA kids who hate America because TikTok told them to. The ones who at the first sign that Williamsburg isn't their Shanghai law. He tried to say Shangri-La, but says Shanghai law. Any longer will run back to Iowa. That's a ringing endorsement of a party. These guys live in fantasy land. The people are not angry because TikTok told them to be angry. The people are angry because they can't pay for things, okay? And these guys live in La La Land, ironically constantly pointing the finger at blame at everyone else, assuming that everyone else is actually living in La La Land. No, dude, there is a reason. And it's not because like the youth have been brainwashed by myself into believing, a dictatorship of the proletariat is the proper way to go about it. The reason why people have arrived at this conclusion is because they've run out of options. They've run out of options, and there are no clear-cut solutions in the current existing methods that are readily available in our duopoly. And it's perfectly reasonable for a lot of people to demand that the left flank of our duopoly actually represent real leftist opinions, real left politics, and not just like a diet watered down version of right-wing politics. One great example of this, and I'm going to get into it now, obviously, now that we're done with like the self-glaze session of the broadcast, is Donald Trump's attempts. Donald Trump's attempts at like doing a fascist takeover. These people think you have way more persuasive power than you actually do. Yeah, I wish I had that kind of persuasion power, okay? I've seen some people call this MAGA on the left. Yes, those people are Dem diehards, Dem loyalists that don't want the Democratic Party to change for some weird reason. But if it were to change overnight and become like even a socialist party, those guys would change as well, because they simply want a seat at the table. They want the Democrats to give them like a consulting fee. And that's the reason why they do it. They hitch their wagon to any party, even a dying one like the Democrats. That's the reason why they engage in loser talk. Okay? So you're not a communist, but your guiding ideology is historical materialism. Would that make you at least a Marxist? I just don't define myself by any of these terms. I have no interest in dogmatic thinking. But like I said, I don't have an issue with being branded as a communist or a socialist or a Marxist or a Marxist-Leninist. The only thing I would push back on is if someone were to say I'm an anarchist, I would say I'm not an anarchist. And that's it. That's it. You were once a Marxist? Who's to say I'm not? Still, like, what do you mean? But yeah, it is funny that like a lot of liberal commentators online have learned like the term tanky and just like run with that over and over and over again. Oh, she mentions you at 1412.
Blamed for this dangerous and scary protein craze. They did a whole profile on Hasan Piker where they said that because he worked out, because he has like visible abs and flexes and posts photos on his Instagram, and then that he has a MAGA body. Like, they are saying the quiet part out loud. They are acknowledging that health is not important to them, that fitness is a right-wing thing. Like, that is where we have gotten right now. So no wonder your revolution.
Yeah, I mean, fitness is not a right-wing thing, and it's very frustrating that people have like done this. And once again, I would go so far as to say it's not dissimilar to the ways in which, in like the Gamergate craze, a lot of liberals themselves actually represented like the hysterical woke scold style cartoonish depiction of the left willingly and voluntarily. We have too much marketing people on our side ideologically to consistently allow our opponents to frame the conversation around a reality that does not exist. If you look at the real world, if you look at, not that it matters whether someone is like physically fit or not. Ultimately, I don't give a shit about that kind of thing, even though I personally like it. And I think it's good if people are physically fit in general. But from a political perspective, I don't think it says anything about your politics. Having said that, however, if you were to look at like areas where a lot of Democrats congregate versus areas where a lot of Republicans congregate, and you just put a lineup of like the average Republican versus the average Democrat, I think the physically fit voters would most likely lean on the side of the average Democrat. It's partially born out of material conditions, of course. It's born out of like having disposable income or time to go to the gym, not living in a food desert. Republican areas are poorer on average than Democrat areas are. And a lot of Democrats do care about their health in way more meaningful ways than the Republicans do. It's kind of, it's not dissimilar to like gaming, right? People just think like, oh, gaming is right wing. All gamers are right wing. They're all shitheads. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. It's just that they flood the market with this kind of commentary to try to make it seem as though that's the case. And the same goes for gym culture and shit. They flood the market with content creators that are finding themselves on the apolitical side, which usually snaps to reactionary commentary, reactionary politics. Same with anime, same with everything else. It's very frustrating to experience. Would you say that the main divide between the right and left is how empathetic people are? Because I feel like that's the case in so many cases. Yes. I think when it's like, if you bring it back to like two different poles and what like first principles look like without actually identifying them, without actually like getting too far into ideological tendencies and whatnot, it genuinely comes from individualism and empathy. That's it. People on the left flank of politics, adjusted to whatever time frame, adjusted to whatever country, adjusted to whatever culture you want to present, are always going to be the more empathetic side. And people on the right flank of politics, whatever you want to call them, right, are always going to be more on the individualist, selfish, less empathetic side. It's that simple. I got mine. It's a constant struggle, fuck everybody else. That's it. That's why I always say, like, my politics are about not being a shithead and only bullying those who are bullying others. Okay? That's what it comes down to. That's unironically what it comes down to. Everything else is just like seasoning. Everything else is just marketing. Okay? Yeah. Party of me versus party of we.
Left-wing Democratic Socialist candidate Zohran Mamdani can't even bench 135 without a spot. And you might be saying, Brett, you can't even bench 135. I know. But when you go on X, there were so many women on there who were saying, okay, I know that I can't do this, but like, men, this is your wheelhouse. Like, what is, an average, what do I want to say, PR? Like, what do you guys actually bench? And the replies were hysterical. People were like, no, 135 is like my warm up. And people were like, there are all of these threads of like, yeah, 250, 180, whatever. I asked Alex, apparently his PR was, I think it's 285. Hopefully I'm not butchering that. Love you if I am. He said, don't expect him to do that anymore because he like blew out his shoulder in college trying to do that. But anyway, that is what is going on here. Like, no wonder your big candidate can't do that when this is the culture that you've created, when you have created a culture that has villainized health and fitness. And I don't even know if the left cares. Like, at all. They villainized this. They've walked away from it. They have lost this. I don't think they care. However, Grand Canyon University does care about the culture that they cultivate on.
Oh, shut the f up. That's a crazy segue into an ad. Okay, so couple things here. Number one, the notion that like the liberals and the left have like vilified working out, idiotic, incredibly marginal, not a real thing at all. It's just also not a part of objective reality. Once again, okay, look at the average liberal living in a city and how much they work out, whether it's Pilates or yoga or whatever the f they're doing, versus the average Republican in a place like Oklahoma, for example. Go to a Walmart, okay? It's ridiculous. I said this even with the MAGA body shit that the New York Times did on my profile, right? So that's already incredibly stupid, okay? You can be jacked to the gills and be a liberal or a Republican. None of this shit matters. It's just marketing. These people are just like leaning into that to make it seem as though that is just the case when it just doesn't matter. It's not a part of reality at all. Secondly, and this is perhaps more important, Zohran Mamdani at the age of 33 is infinitely healthier than the average politician, both by his age and also by what kind of work he does. He is incredibly physically fit. He's just not physically fit in the lifting side of things. That's it. What's really frustrating about this process is that Zohran Mamdani walks, 20,000 steps a day. What are we talking about? Get any right-wing Republican or even someone like myself. I work out all the goddamn time. I wouldn't be able to keep up with him. I wouldn't be able to walk the entire island of Manhattan. It's just a different kind of fit. Okay? That's it. You're comparing cardiovascular capabilities to strength, pure strength. That's all this is. And cardio is incredibly important. Zohran is a cardio guy, clearly. Okay? That's it. Like, if that was the case, then Sam Sulek would be the most, like, physically fit guy on the planet. And I love Sam, but let's be real. Wait, what the? According to this list, a guy with 1 million followers is more influential than me. What did I do to piss off the Rolling Stone? Okay, dude. There's no way Mr. Beast posted that. That's so funny. No, Mr. Beast didn't actually post that. Chatters, calm down. It's Caleb is making a joke. Anyway, listen. Let's get back to the story because Ben Shapiro also has some. Wait, he did? Oh my God, he actually did. Oh my God. Oh my God, he did. Oh my God. Are you real, dude? Why would you post that? You sound so bitter. Oh my God. That is crazy, bro. You're Mr. Beast. Why the do you care about where you landed on the Rolling Stones influential list? That's crazy. I genuinely thought that he would have the wherewithal not. He would have the wherewithal not to post some shit like that. That's hilarious. Motherfuckers' faces on Walmart shelves. Yeah, what the? That's crazy, bro. That's not a good look, man. Delete that shit. What the? That's funny. That's hilarious. Does he think the Rolling Stones are in charge of the Rolling Stone magazine? Maybe. He's a corporate psycho who plans everything to maximize user grocery store bitch fit. No. It's for that very reason. It's for that very reason that it doesn't make any damn sense. What is this? There's no difference between people like this and a jihadist. You're all complete and utter psychopaths. Oh yeah, Valentina Gomez is up to her tricks again. She's trying to make waves again. Hold on, we'll do that. We'll cover it. This is so stupid. This is so dumb. What is this? Go woke, go broke. We're officially done. America's over. Ay, Christ. All right, whatever. Let me get back to the workout one, okay? Zohran Mamdani working out. The notion that like right-wingers work out more than leftists do or liberals do, all this stuff is bullshit, is ridiculous, is so dumb. But no one And I mean, no one is dumber than Ben Shapiro talking about this. Because, like, Brett Cooper gets into it, and she's doing all the back and forth. She's yapping.
Recalibrate and hit the gym.
But we got to talk about Ben Shabibo coming out and also swinging as Zohran Mamdani.
So that you can bench more than 135 and be stronger than Mamdani, including myself. Anyway, moving on back to the left and them caring about their culture. The funny thing is, even though the left was, putting out these articles and these opinion pieces just 3 months ago, now randomly, they do care about fitness. They do care about hitting the gym. And that's because they've realized that it's losing them votes. Because remember, a few months ago...
Dude, no, this is not real. No one cares. Are you kidding me? No one is like, oh, I'm not going to vote for the Democrats because they don't lift weights. Donald Trump is the president, okay? Donald Trump can't even walk up a flight of stairs. Joe Biden, at the age of 854, was more physically fit than Joe Biden. And his brain, Joe Biden was more physically fit at the age of 900 than Donald Trump. And his brain was leaking out of his ear, okay? Shut the up. This is so dumb. Nobody gives a about how much you can lift, how much you can bench. When it comes to politics, put the policies in the bag. That's it. What is happening? Why does everybody entertain these idiotic arguments? I can't stand this shit, dude. Oh, this person can bench press this much. This person can bench press that much. It's like, who cares? Leftists are mad at you. Lol, what is this? Isn't Hasan the guy who coined blue and on for vote blue no matter who people? Yeah, that's so funny. This is using my terminology against me to claim that I'm like racial mad owl. Anyway, Ben said he puts up 200 dog. It took me a year lifting it 6 days a week to reach those numbers. Yeah, I don't think it's correct. I think Ben is lying, but we'll get to that in a second. We'll get to the Ben Shapiro clip in a second. We're doing more Ben Shapiro than ever on this broadcast this past week. It is like it's 2020 all over again. Okay.
Right around the time that all those articles were coming out, that hit piece about me came out. The Democrats announced that they were going to be investing $20 million in order to figure out how to win back young men. Now, one of the things that they discovered after this incredible research into the syntax and the interest of young American men is that men are going to the gym. So Democrats should be as well. One MSNBC opinion piece talked about this. And in this article... Do you even
vote, bro? Democrats should look at new voters at the gym. Oh, God. Oh. Okay. How is Zohran Mamdani so much better at captivating the attention of young voters, young men especially, white men too, than anybody else that's running for the same office, and he can't outlift Andrew Cuomo, Curtis Sliwa, or Eric Adams? How is that possible then? Turns out it has nothing to do with what your bench press is, bro. These people are so dumb. What are we doing? What is this conversation? American politics has to be about everything but politics, okay? Politics, simply put, is about distribution of resources, power, and the continuation of said distribution with violence. Who gets to do violence? Who are the victims of said violence? That's what politics is. In America, on the other hand, politics is anything but what politics actually is, okay? It's about how much you can bench press. It's about whether you put Dijon mustard. It's about whether you wear like whatever the you're wearing. It's all about whatever commodities you're consuming. Are you a Labubu consumer? Are you a Labubu matcha enjoyer? Do you drink raw milk? None of this is about politics, man. When we're talking about actual politicians, what matters is their policies. What the And Democrats entertain this idiotic notion as well. Cracker Barrel logos. Are they woke? Are they unwoke? What's going on there? It's so stupid. Oh, my God. Oh, my Lord. And that is by design, by the way. The reason why American politics is about anything but actual policy and actual politics, how we distribute the finite resources that we have, is by design, because both parties in the duopoly do not stand for the working class. So no one is actually out there invested in truly trying to reverse the trajectory that we're heading in the direction of. That's the reason why everybody plays their own version of the same damn equation, where they have to just be like, oh yeah, I'm a leftist because I work out, or this person is right wing because they drink raw milk and eat 12 eggs a day. Shut the fuck up. What are we doing? What are we doing? God damn, dude. The reason why Zohran was able to cut away from that noise is because he was issue focused. That's it. That's it. That's it. We are issue focused. But the problem is Democrats do this shit too. Gavin Newsom is a great example of this. He has been really popping off, making big waves in the Democratic side, where, you know, they keep polling people 3 years out from the actual election to turn around and be like, oh, he's going to be the runner-up. He's going to be the runner-up. Why is he the runner-up? Because he's memeing. He's memeing hard. He's memeing super hard. Okay? All of this is utterly irrelevant. Gavin Newsom has major issues. I live in his state. Okay? I live under the gruesome rule of gruesome Governor Gavin Newsom in California Oblast. And let me tell you, the housing market is here. Okay? Fix it. Meanwhile, what his goals are is to not fix it. He is Mr. Veto, okay? Every goddamn election cycle, there's another ballot measure that's like, let's implement communism in California for all people living on California soil. And then those ballot measures get passed by like 80% margins. And then gruesome Governor Gavin Newsom will turn around and veto it. He'll be like, nah. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say kill homeless people? That's what I'm going to do. It's so stupid. And it sucks. It sucks because people eat this shit up. A lot of people do eat this shit up. I'm glad that people are fighting back. Okay? That's fine. That's great. But it can't just remain on the trolling side. Okay? It just can't. It can't just be like Newsom was right about everything mugs, or Trump is not hot tank tops. Like, what the are we doing? Is this merch real? It's not a joke? Yeah, it's not. Nathan J. Robinson, the GOAT, says, when Gavin Newsom loses in 2028, will Democrats learn their lesson and stop running soulless centrists? Or will they just try to keep doing this over and over until the party has 2% support and we finally reach full-blown fascist state? The second thing is what's going to inevitably happen. Okay? They're just actively looking for one guy who can cut away from the noise and not rock the boat policy-wise. Okay? You should get Christian Divine to talk about this. He's been in the trenches. Yeah, I know. Those trenches are actually a lot more TikTok focused than you think, though. This is not a real active point of contention in the Democratic Party side or even on the left. It's just like a bunch of shit libs on TikTok chirping into the wind. And somehow I'm involved in it as well, apparently. I didn't even realize that. It is crazy how many people are desperately clinging on to the notion that, like, well, Democrats are better than Republicans. It's like, yes, that's true. But you can't actually win a election by being marginally better with the expectation that, like, Republicans are just going to fumble the bag eventually and you'll eke out like a marginal victory over them. We want pure domination. We want actual change. Many people do. I'm trying to convince my lib parents that this trolling stuff is not accomplishing anything and they just don't get it. They think this is a way to show how ridiculous Trump is and that it's working and people will realize and come to their senses. No, this is just catharsis for liberals. Is nothing. Yeah. This is low-key even less consequential than like the oligarchy tour, which in many respects is also a pressure valve for liberals and leftists alike to feel good, to be like, oh yeah, we're doing something. Like there's a group of people around me that like also agree with me. And that's fine. That's not a bad thing, but it just can't be the only thing. Okay. I'm not going to sit here and just say like, oh, memeing against Trump is bad. It's not. Okay. Actively pushing against Trump is good. Even redistricting. I gave Gavin Newsom credit for that, right? Redistricting to cook the books, to secure more Democrat districts for Congress is a good thing. It's not a bad thing. But if that's all you stay at, if that's all you do, it's not going to be enough. Like if you're redistricting to put forth more Democrat seats, okay, more comfortable Democrat victories in a state like California, but then those seats are filled with the most annoying centrist, pro-Israel, pro-Raytheon liberals out there who are going to come out and be like, yeah, I think we should say trans people actually, and continue doing that same Democratic Party approach of capitulating to right-wing framing on issues instead of actively fighting against the right-wingers and yelling from the mountaintops about how America is experiencing a fascist takeover with like literal military occupation in major cities, you know, something that people can see with their own two eyes. If they don't counter message against the wave of Republican initiatives happening all around us, spearheaded by an incompetent fascist madman like Donald Trump, then what the are we doing? It's just like utterly worthless. It's idiotic. Huh. Have you seen JB address this yesterday? He did well, in my opinion, way better than New Scum. Yeah, I think JB Pritzker, despite being a billionaire and despite having a litany of other issues that is born out of being immensely fortunate, immensely wealthy, is a pretty solid governor. I will say that. Like, in comparison to other Democrat governors, he's up there. He's definitely a big, I don't mean this because he's a big boy, but he's definitely doing well, okay? He is definitely doing better than others. Both on the communication side, both on the policy side, he's doing well, okay? Obviously, you know, people are saying he is, what at what point are you going to stop this Menshevik kowtowing to this ruling class party? I told you already, when you set up an alternative that is actually viable, I'll be there, okay? I'll stand by your side. In the absence of that, utilizing the existing ways to make a dent, to reach a broader audience, to gain legitimacy is the way to go. That's it. There's nothing you can do about it, okay? It's so stupid. It's so stupid. Here, I'll give you a great example. If Zohran Mamdani was like trying to run as a third-party candidate, okay, instead of running in the Democratic primary, you would not know who he is. I probably wouldn't know who he is. No one would know who he is. He would not win, okay? It's that simple. If Zohran was a third-party mayoral candidate, you would not know who the Zohran Mamdani is. But the very fact that you do know who the Zohran Mamdani is because he was able to utilize the pre-existing avenues of power, okay, without compromising on his message. That's it. That's what we need to keep doing. And on the other side, if you are actively trying to develop an alternative, develop a third party, okay, if you are actively trying to develop an alternative third party that's like actively trying to win local office and gain power, then that's great. But that's going to take a long ass time. And I don't see a lot of people doing that sincerely. I only see a lot of people complaining. Okay. That's it. That's it. Hey, use the broken ass system to fight the system. That'll work. I mean, it does. That's the only option we have. It's not like I'm saying, it's not like I am personally saying that I am completely against like a real working class party that is built. Okay. That I would stand against it. I think it's a great example with what you're seeing with Jeremy Corbyn in the UK. Okay, that's awesome. There are many fears from, you know, my Irish and British friends that I've spoken to on this. Okay, that have warned about like potentially splitting the vote. Hopefully they will be able to captivate the attention of like a lot of diehard loyalists to the Labour Party, realizing that the Labour Party is basically just a watered down version of the Tories now, and will move in that direction, and then they will be able to actively win power, and I'm totally on board with that, okay? There is no issue with that. I love Corbyn. Corbyn is one of my favorite Western politicians, if not the best, okay? But as it stands in the United States of America, you have to use the existing avenues to your advantage. If that wasn't the case, then the Democrats wouldn't be actively trying to undermine their left flank with regular frequency. Okay? That is what they're trying to do because they're worried about this like left-wing momentum that exists within the base of support for the Democratic Party. People want more candidates like Zohran. Okay? They do. Liberals love that shit. People just come in here and go, how long until we stop settling for this BS corporate monopolized political playing field? I know there's not many options. You have to you have to analyze the existing system that we exist under. Okay, you have to look at it, and you have to you have to calculate your attempts with respect to what the current material realities look like, what the current system of politics looks like in the United States of America. Okay, not using an existing avenue that's just right there, by getting your message in front of as many people as you physically possibly can, is stupid. Dude, splitting the vote argument? No, I'm not. That's not an argument. I hope that people will wake up to the reality of the Labour Party in the UK and go vote for Corbyn's party, is what I am saying. Holy, you guys are so predisposed to whatever you've made up, whatever image you've made up in your minds about what you think I believe, that you just can't hear the words that are coming out of my mouth. Okay? The Democrat Party is not the end goal here. Okay? If socialism is the end goal, there is no reason to cast aside existing avenues to garner attention to this momentum, to this movement, to the best of your ability. It's a simple stepping stone. Okay? God damn. That's it. Love talking about how they've built a revolutionary vanguard and they're armed and ready to go. Okay? The countryside is rising up. Your framing is flawed. No, it's not. And it's not even my framing. It's the methods that you disagree with. I don't think you disagree with the framing, I guess. You and I have the same end goals. If you're a socialist, we have the same end goals, okay? But you don't agree with the methods. You think you have a better solution, but your better solution does not exist as it stands currently, okay? That's it. If it's a stepping stone, you could more frequently look at commie newspapers. Okay, this guy is definitely a trot. 100%. The fuck is that gonna do, man? Looking at communist newspapers? I mean, I already do, but what is that gonna do? Actually, only a trot would come in here and be like, you know what the problem is? People are not reading enough pamphlets. Okay, I keep handing them out and they're just not reading them. And if they're reading them, they're not internalizing it. You said you wouldn't explain this anymore and would just show the SpongeBob vid. That's true. I should just do that instead. But I digress. This conversation low-key kind of fell apart because we were talking about Zohran Mamdani, a person who's been able to make waves within the Democratic Party infrastructure. And I would go so far as to say a person who's been able to become a national politician as a direct consequence of being able to make waves in the Democratic Party's existing infrastructure. As an infiltrator, if you want to consider him an outsider from your perspective. I don't think so. Okay? Because theoretically, he's a Democrat. Okay? That's it. He is how the Democrats present themselves as. But the reason why he's seen as something different, and the reason why a lot of people that hold the levers of power within the Democratic Party's infrastructure are terrified of him, is because he is more honest than the average centrist Democrat. Will you not vote for your best interest if it's a third party? I've never said that. I have never said that. What the fuck do you mean? Anyway, but Zohran Mamdani, I think what you're saying is true, but there are fascists running the country. I don't believe we can just vote our way out of this. That's not my argument. That has never been my argument. I have never actually said that you just simply vote fascism away. What are you guys talking about? Oh my Lord. That is not an argument that I've ever presented. People, again, this is the problem with trying to understand complex political objectives and movement building from a good, bad dynamic and a framework that is understandable and easy to digest. Oh, you must be saying just vote blue no matter who. That's not what I'm saying at all, okay? In order to build a robust working class movement, you need to actually be in front of the working class. In order to be in front of the working class, you need to show success. And the only viable option to show success as it stands currently is within the confines of the Democratic Party, which is supposed to be presented as the left flank against the Republicans. Okay. Infiltration of this sort is a necessity to get a socialist, working class backed candidate in a position of power. Okay. The easiest explainer here is, in spite of your disagreements, and mine certainly as well, with Bernie Sanders' 2016 run in the primaries played a formative role in growing at least broad awareness, which is a necessity, okay? It's the first step. Broad awareness towards a socialist alternative. How's that for trots out there, okay? A socialist alternative within the confines of the Democratic Party's the Democratic Party's like political machine. I don't know why. I can't even explain it. I can't even talk about Zohran Mamdani not being able to lift weights. Ben Shapiro is attacking
Mamdani apparently cannot lift like one of those shake weights. We now have video of it, and it's pretty impressive. He has to have this guy. They're cheering him. He does not get 3. 2 very assisted. Very, very assisted bench presses at 135 pounds. If you're going to do something like this and you're a public figure, you have to know your limitations. If you don't know how much you can bench, this is not a great time to try it out. It's like in front of a giant.
Why? Who gives a shit? Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Why is this a problem? Who gives a shit? Zohran has never presented himself as like this specimen that it can like lift super high weights or whatever. If anything, it's more embarrassing when I see RFK Jr., who literally has made working out a important plank of his entire political identity, wear a goddamn lifting shirt and do half reps with like sub 135 pounds. Okay. That's infinitely more embarrassing than Zohran Mamdani being incapable of putting up 135 pounds, okay? Zohran Mamdani's not like a lifter. I literally asked him if he works out, and he said he does not, okay? I was shocked by this because he's very physically fit. The reason why he's very physically fit is because he walks a lot, okay? He's a cardio boy. It's all good.
Crowd of people in the middle of a mayoral race. A decent bench for a man is his own body weight. Zohran Mamdani, I assume, weighs more than 135 pounds. 130.
I think Ben's saying that because he's like maximum 130 pounds, I guess. Because that's not true. There's diminishing returns. And even if you're 130 pounds, like, no, benching your body weight is somewhat impressive. I would say it's past the point of like, introductory. That's not like utilizing just your pectoral muscles to be able to lift your entire body is an impressive lift. Okay. That is an achievement. That's not something you just arrive at with ease, no matter how light you are. Now, of course, when you're short, like Ben is, and you're lighter, like Ben is, you do have some lifting advantages. This is true, right? That's why the memes are, someone who's like 5'6" can just like touch a weight and then immediately become brolic. It's like, lifting memes. It's like automatic steroids. Okay. But overall, this is just a dick slinging competition for incredibly, immensely insecure people. That's all this is.
35 pounds is not a lot of weight, like not a lot of weight at all. I'm not a bench press enthusiast. For the record, I max out at around 200 pounds. So I'm not like an amazing.
First of all, if Ben Shapiro actually could do a 200-pound PR, that's fairly impressive for his size. The fact that he's also saying that that's not that impressive is ridiculous, okay? And I don't believe that at all. I need to see it to believe it. I do not believe it, okay? I do not believe that at all. You just said something that I've been curious about. Is walking really a good way to burn calories? I walk my dogs about 3 miles every day when it's not 110 degrees in Fort Worth, but I don't know if I should be doing more cardio on those days. Yes, walking is the best way to lose weight if you want to lose weight. It's like it's low intensity cardio. Also, let me tell you something. The fact that he said his PR is 200 is also oddly suspicious. In the longer video, he also talks about Zohran's weights, and he doesn't immediately clock that it's 135 pounds. Every person, every novice lifter that's been inside of a gym immediately knows one 45-pound plate on one side and 145 plate on the other side is introductory. It's 135 pounds, okay? At least for someone like myself who's been lifting for many, many years, that's like my warm-up, right? It's not, if you have a lot of experience in this field, this is a warm-up weight. Like, let's be real, okay? That doesn't mean anything, though, because for someone like myself, it might be a warm-up, but for many others, it's, a fairly high amount of weight, and that is perfectly fine, okay? But everybody knows instantly what 135 pounds is if they have worked out at all, okay? How is 2 plates 135? Like, as in 1 plate on one side and 1 plate on the other. 2 plates also more commonly means 225 pounds, which is 245 plates on one side and 245 plates on the other. The bar itself is also 45 pounds. So that's what it is. An Olympic bar is 45 pounds, and the big plates that you have at that gym, in most gyms, is also 45 pounds. Okay? There's obviously 35-pound plates, there's 25-pound plates, there's 15-pound plates, and there's 10-pound plates and even 5-pound plates. There's bumper weights as well, the ones that you can use commonly for like Olympic lifts, like deadlifting and things of that nature. They're a little bit fatter in general. They're a little bit cushionier. But overall, the ones that they were using, I believe, in that video are just like regular straight steel plates, okay? And they were 45 pounds each, which means that he was putting up 2 45-pound plates and the bar that also is 45, which is 135 pounds. This is not even like ball knowledge. This is not elite level knowledge at all. I cannot explain this to you enough. If you don't know what this kind of stuff is, automatically, that means you haven't spent a lot of time in the gym weightlifting. And that's perfectly fine, okay? Everyone does something different, all right? 200 pounds as your max weight is a very weird number to arrive at. Either he did the calculation off of how many reps he can do and arrived at the 200-pound number, or he's just making it up, because it's a little suspicious. When you look at weights, like, you would probably not get to 200 pounds unless you are actively trying to reach a PR of 200 pounds by adding like 1.5 pounds on the sides, things of that nature. Because like I said, it's just normally it would probably be like 205, I suspect, or 225 or 215. It wouldn't just be like I know that those plates exist, chatter. I'm just saying it's not a very common weight that you would point to.
Amazing bench press connoisseur. Even I can lift 135 pounds, probably 15 times.
He can't. That's a lie. He's lying. That's cap. I think that's cap. I don't think he could do 15 for 135. It would be impressive for his size, I would say. There's 0% chance that he could do good form 15, 135, okay? That probably is the load-bearing statement on this entire process, okay? Very, very load-bearing. Probably, he says.
Because that's not a lot of weight.
Anyway, there was a couple things that he said in the longer video. Do we have the longer video from Benny Boy's content? Because I need to point to it. Maybe he's like actually only lifted weights in a Smith machine, not a Smith machine, in a bench press machine, which of course is much easier. Let's be real. Okay, this is where he got it from. Bench press. Oh yeah, he did the bench press weight calculator. He put in 15 times for 135, and he said your approximate 1 rep match bench press. I mean, he is more physically fit than you would expect. That doesn't mean that he is actually throwing up. I don't think he's throwing up 135 for 15. Proof he can lift.
How often are you hitting the gym right now? Got to be tough when you're super tired with the kiddies. I've still been hitting it every weekday. Weekends are very difficult because I'm really on top of the kids. But every weekday, I try to hit the gym for an hour with a trainer. So, that's how you get the gun show, guys. You think this stuff, just happens magically? Wrong. Okay, we are late for the gun show, so let me do that real fast because we're going to hit the end of this thing real fast here. And
yeah, that's also his biceps, which are important for stability and his triceps are certainly important for stability and putting up a decent amount of weight, but we need to see those pectoral muscles to make a decent assessment. In any case, I would love to see Ben do 15 times for 135. I think that would be impressive for his size. Having said that, I think not only is it utterly irrelevant whether he is capable of Zohran Mamdani's capabilities of being able to put up. Wait, hold on. Lifting. I can't find the OG video of Ben talking about. Oh, Zohran Mamdani can't.
Zohran
Here, we found
Mamdani apparently cannot lift like one of those shake weights. And we now have video of it, and it's pretty impressive. Democrats are starting to retail the person who they think is their front runner for 2028 and all updates from Russia, Ukraine. First, we've been rolling out a lot of new content.
Okay, I'm not going to do that. Okay, here.
And the 33-year-old socialist, again, he's 33, which is like young in the prime of life. He tried to bench. Now, my dude, let me just say.
My dude. If it's irrelevant, why do you keep talking about it? Because it's funny. Also, this is what the opposition is worried about. This is what they're predisposed with. I want to see Ben throw a 50-pound backpack and hike 16, 20 miles a day if we're just setting arbitrary standards with no practical relevance. Yeah. It's hilarious how Ben's fixating on this, but it's good for little tabloid drama clicks. It's not, though, because clearly it's not working. Look at him. 126,000 views. He is so cooked. Anyway, the reason why I get annoyed by this is, one, I mean, I lift, and it's an important part of my life. And I want other people to go out and work out as well. And also, I hate when Republicans basically just steal through the optics of claiming ownership over certain concepts to through the process of repetition, make it seem as though they have ownership over this space. They do not. Okay? They don't. It's utterly irrelevant in the grand scheme of things as it pertains to Zohran Mamdani's electoral victory potentially, which seems all but guaranteed. Okay. Having said that, however, the nefarious part about this is that right-wing content creators try to own this space when it does not correspond to reality. It's not the case that the right-wingers are objectively in better shape than liberals or leftists are. It's actually the opposite. Not that it fucking matters. I am a Republican, Hasan. Hell yeah. Well, you're going to learn today. That's why gym guys like you are useful for cardio boys like me. Yeah. If there's one subsect of American society that is genuinely in better shape than everybody else, it's homosexual men. Okay? That's it. That's why we say gay body is a totally separate classification. You can be swole, but being gay swole is very different. Okay? And they love voting for the Democrats. Why do you think this matters to the opposition? It goes back to the same thing that I was talking about, which is culture wars and aesthetics. Republicans love maintaining ownership over certain concepts like machismo, right? And they shape what machismo and being masculine is supposed to look like by simply saying certain things. So you don't actually have to be a secure person. You don't actually have to go to the gym. All you need to do is say you're a Republican, and then that comes along with it. Having someone like Ben Shapiro, who is a whiny little twerp, try to take ownership over the gym space is a hilarious example of this. Okay? Is Hassan gay swole? I wish. I wish, dude. I am not gay swole. I'm more frustrated with this concept than anything else. They try to take ownership over authenticity by substituting authenticity with being a asshole. And they succeed on that front on the internet. That's the reason why so many people think like, oh, if someone is being kind to others or advocating to be kind to others, they're a pussy, they're a liar, they must be cynical, they must be grifting. No one would be nice. No one would dare be nice to one another, right? Ain't no way, right? The same goes for being macho, being masculine, being a man. Like if you're a right winger, that's all you need. Maybe that's why your back is. My back is not. I don't know why you're saying that. God damn, you turn 30 one time and then your back gets up for an extended period of time when you're like, trying to go through the motions of lifting again. And maybe you get a little ahead of yourself, and then everybody constantly brings that up. Oh. It's all posturing. There's a gym bro code. You don't make fun of someone who doesn't lift, trying to lift. Once you reach a level of experience, that rule change depending on the toxicity of the gym, but you never bully a newbie because there's always someone that can warm up with your PR. Exactly. That's it. That's the cardinal rule of being a gym guy. It's not my back, it's my rotator cuffs that are busted always. But every gym guy at a certain point was weak, okay? There's a starting point for everybody, and the goal is to get as many people in the gym as possible. That's what gym bros want.
Be a strong man, pun intended. Zohran Mamdani yesterday showed up at the annual Men's Day Open Streets event in Brooklyn on Saturday, where a bunch of dudes were lifting, apparently. And the 33-year-old socialist, again, he's 33, which is like young in the prime of life. He tried to bench. Now, my dude, let me just say that if you are going to do something like this and you're a public figure, you have to know your limitations. Like Zohran Mamdani must have at some point been in a gym. I mean, I assume, maybe not, given how this video went. But if you don't know how much you can bench, this is not a great time to try it out. It's like in front of a giant crowd of people in the middle of a mayoral race. So he shows up and he takes a couple of 45s, like 2 plates, and he stacks them on the bar. So this is maybe 135 pounds total. And now let's just be clear. A decent bench for a man is his own body weight. And that's like a decent bench for a man. Zohran Mamdani, I assume, weighs more than 135 pounds. Maybe not, but I assume that he does. 135 pounds is not a lot of weight, like not a lot of weight at all. And I'm not a bench press enthusiast. For the record, I max out at around 200 pounds. So I'm not like an amazing bench press connoisseur. Even I can lift 135 pounds, probably 15 times, because that's not a lot of weight. Zohran Mamdani, it doesn't go well. Here's how it went in Brooklyn.
Here's the thing. This is a mayoral race. It is not going to be determined by who can out bench press one another. It's going to be determined by how many people show up to vote for you. And if you look at those 2 different videos between Eric Adams and Zohran Mamdani, you can kind of get a better understanding of what's going on there. Eric Adams had nobody around him when he was lifting. Zohran had a fuck ton of people around him when he was lifting, and everybody was cheering for him because they don't give a fuck that he can't put up 135 pounds. That's it at the end of the day, okay? This doesn't determine anything.
He has to have this guy.
Let's go.
They're cheering him.
Yeah. Let me get one more. Let me get 3. Let me get 3. Yeah.
He does not get 3. He gets 2.
He does not get 3. Bro, you're a loser, bro. You are a goddamn nerd. Shut the up. You look and sound like you need to be shoved into a goddamn locker, and you're over here being like, He couldn't get 135 pounds. Ha. I, on the other hand, am strong. It's like, come on, dude. Shut your bitch ass up. It's the same with Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was talking shit too. It's like, okay, I can outlive both of you. Okay, shut the up. That doesn't mean anything. All right.
Very assisted. Very, very assisted. Bench presses at 135 pounds. So that's not great. Well, Mayor Eric Adams and ex-Governor Andrew Cuomo, both of whom lift, pounced on the opportunity, according to the New York Post. Mayor Adams went to the same exact event, and then
like we need to stop with this shit. Okay, Donald Trump can't lift anything. That's number one. Not that it fucking matters. Okay, he can't do nothing. And also, you're a dweeb, bro. You are a goddamn nerd ass loser. Who the put you in charge of making fun of who are trying to put a lift on for the first time in their lives, dude? Get the out of here. What are we talking about? How did this happen? Like, these people used to get bullied for behaving like this, okay? Not because they're nerds, mind you, because, like, even in that sense, like, Zohran will get bullied too, because he's not exactly like Mr. Macho Man Randy Savage either. But, like, if a nerd-ass loser like this was talking like this in public, they'd be like, shut the f*** up. What are you talking about? This should piss me off for many different reasons. One, because this is important for me. And two, because it's utterly irrelevant for an election. And last but not least, I hate that Republicans try to seize every opportunity they can to make it seem as though like they have any ownership over this space whatsoever. You got Dr. Abdul Al-Sayed, who I will be doing a lift with in Dearborn when I'm out there in Michigan this weekend. He's putting up 405 on the bench press, and they're still talking about who can outbench one another. Like, what are you talking about?
Proceeded to just knock out a bunch of 135-pound lifts. He then called him Mom Scrawny, as opposed to Mamdani. Quote, the only thing he can lift is your taxes. Andrew
Bitch. All right. Anyway, moving on from this dumb shit. Hasan Reaction is one of the best ones in the React channel.